Hello, viewers. Today I have something special in my store for you. At first, you watch this video and then I'll start today's discussion.
C'est un trou de verdure où chante une rivière accrochant follement aux herbes des allants d'argent, où le soleil de la montagne fier lui. C'est un petit val qui mousse de rayons. Un soldat jeune, bouche ouverte, tête nue, et la nuque baignant dans le froid croissant bleu, dort. Il est étendu dans l'herbe sous la nuit, pâle dans son hiver où la lumière pleut. Les pieds dans les gailleuls, il dort, souriant comme souriait un enfant malade. Il fait un somme. Nature berce-le chaudement. Il a froid. Les parfums ne font pas frissonner sa narine. Il dort dans le soleil, la main sur la poitrine. Il a deux trous rouges au côté droite.
Oh, you enjoyed the short film, which is an adapted version of Jean-Nicolas Arthur Rimbaud's sonnet, La Dame du Bal. It was translated in English by Paul Smith, and it was given the name Asleep in the Valley. You rightly understood today's topic, which is Asleep in the Valley. Let's enjoy today's discussion.
Asleep in the Valley, Arthur Rimbaud. Nicolas Arthur Rimbaud was born on 20th October 1854 and died on 10th November 1891. Arthur Rimbaud was a French poet and arms dealer, known for his influence on modern literature and arts, which prefigured surrealism. Born in Sourville, he started writing at a very young age and excelled as a student, but abandoned his formal education in his teenage years to run away from home to Paris amidst the Franco-Prussian War. During his late adolescence and early adulthood, he began the bulk of his literary output, then completely stopped writing at the age of 20 after assembling one of his major works, Illuminescence. Rimbaud was known to have been a libertine and restless soul, having engaged in an at times violent romantic relationship with fellow poet Paul Verlaine, which lasted nearly 2 years. After ending his literary career, he traveled extensively on 3 continents as a merchant before his death from cancer, just after his 37th birthday. As a poet, Rimbaud is well known for his contributions to symbolism and, among other works, for A Season in Hail, a precursor to modernist literature. Original sonnet was written in French under the name La Dame du Bal, and it was translated in English by Paul Smith and renamed as Asleep in the Valley. The poem Asleep in the Valley opens with a serene and sober-sided naturalistic setting. A green valley within hills sparkles splendidly in sunlight. A stream slowly flows down the valley. In such a lovely setting, the poet finds a body of a soldier lying pale and open-mouthed with a pillow made of fern. He seems all innocent, pure and simple, but poet's close look on him makes us certain that he is taking an eternal sleep. His life is brutally ended with 2 bullet wounds. The poet invokes nature to keep the dead soldier warm and in peace without any disturbance whatsoever. The title of the poem, Asleep in the Valley, acknowledges us about someone who is sleeping in a serene, sober-sided valley in close contact with nature. The nature is very majestic, with its slow stream, the plentiful streaming of sunlight, plentitude of flora and fauna. In the title, Asleep and Valley sketch separate significance other than their surface meaning. Asleep denotes the eternal sleep, that is, death, and valley symbolizes a paradise-like place. The title seems ironical. It brings out the futility and brutality of a war in a gentle, implicit way. Actually, the title suggests that the soldier is not taking rest but has been brutally killed in the war. Thus, the title is apt and suggestive to the theme of the poem. Asleep in the Valley is a poem about war and reveals the brutality and futility of war. The poem presents a peaceful and tranquil view where a young soldier is resting on the bed of nature. But side by side, the poet makes us aware about the brutality of war by showing his pale, open-mouthed, cold body and ultimately the two red marks. Through the poem, Rambo asks relevance of the war that ends the young lives untimely, who are as pure and innocent as nature. Here, the soldier's sleep represents the eternal sleep that cannot be warped and affected by anything. The poet tries to say that war is not only ending the young lives but affecting the peace in the nature also. The central idea of the poem is the cruelty and meaninglessness of war. The poet finds an ill-fated dead body of a soldier being the sufferer of war. The body of the soldier is lying in a valley that is bubbling with life. This recounts the fact that even amongst death, life encircles us. However, this can also mean that although life is pleasant and encompasses us, death is inescapable and unforeseen. Thus, the chief focus of life should be to embrace it. In this way, the poem brings out two purposes, telling us the futility of war and also that death is not an enemy. On the contrary, it is a peaceful end. This sonnet is Petrarchan in nature, having octave and sestet. Octave has been divided into two quatrains. A quatrain is a 4-line stanza, and the sestet has been divided into two tercets. A tercet is a 3-line stanza. First quatrain deals with the beauty of the green valley, while second quatrain picks up the image of a very young soldier lying on the valley. The first tercet invokes the nature to take care of the young soldier, while the final tercet reveals the futility of war, the main theme of this sonnet. The original sonnet had the rhyme scheme AB, AB, CD, CD, E, F, G, G, H, but the translated piece has A, B, C, B, D, E, D, E, F, F, G, H, H, I. Let's read. the sonnet. A small green valley where a slow stream flows and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. From the mountain top stream the sun's rays, they fill the hollow full of light. A soldier, very young, lies open-mouthed, a pillow made of fern beneath his head, asleep. Stretched in the heavy undergrowth, pale in his warm, green, sun-soaked bed, his feet among the flowers, he sleeps. His smile is like an infant's, gentle without guile. Ah, nature, give him warm, he may catch cold. The humming insects don't disturb his rest. He sleeps in sunlight, one hand on his breast, at peace. In his side there are two red holes. Watch out the next slides carefully. Each slide contains a sentence, and background image would bolster the understanding of the reader. A small green valley where a slow stream flows and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. From the mountain top stream the sun's rays, they fill the hollow full of light. A soldier, very young, lies open-mouthed, a pillow made of fern beneath his head, asleep, stretched in the heavy undergrowth, pale in his warm, green, sun-soaked bed. His feet among the flowers, he sleeps. His smile is like an infant's, gentle without guile. Ah, nature, give him warm, he may catch cold. The humming insects don't disturb his rest. He sleeps in sunlight, one hand on his breast, at peace. In his side there are two red holes. Paraphrase. A small green valley where a slow stream flows. A small green valley where a small stream flows slowly and leaves long strands of silver on the bright, leaving shining silvery strip of fiber on the grass. From the mountain top stream the suns. From top of the mountain, sunlights are coming like a river. Rays, they fill the hollow full of light, which fill the valley with light. A soldier, very young, lies open-mouthed. A very young soldier is lying, keeping his mouth open. A pillow made of fern beneath his head. Thick ferns form the pillow under his head. asleep, stretched in the heavy undergrowth. He is sleeping, spreading his body over the thick and large grasses. Pale in his warm, green, sun-soaked bed, he is bloodless, but his grassy bed is warmed by the sun. His feet among the flowers, his lips, his smile. His feet are among flowers, and he is sleeping. He is smiling. Life is like an infant's, gentle without guile. Softly like a child, and the smile is innocent. Ah, nature, keep him warm, he may catch cold. Oh, nature, keep him warm, so that he may not catch cold. The humming insects don't disturb his rest. The buzzing insects don't break his sleep. He sleeps in sunlight, one hand on his breast. The young man is sleeping in the sun with a hand on his chest. At peace, in his side there are 2 red holes. In tranquility, there are 2 bloody wounds of bullet in his side. The structure of the sonnet. The sonnet has been divided into 2 parts, octave and sestet. Octave has been divided into 2 quatrains, first quatrain and second quatrain. The sestet has been divided into 2 tercets, first tercet and second tercet. Rhyme scheme. This sonnet follows the rhyme scheme A, B, C, B, D, E, D, E, F, F, G, H, H, I. In the first line, flows in is unrhymed. Bright is rhyming with light, suns is unrhymed. The second quatrain, mouthed, is rhymed with undergrowth. Head is rhymed with bed. In the first tercet, smile is rhymed with guile, and cold is unrhymed. In the final tercet, rest is rhymed with breast, and holes is unrhymed. Now, literary devices. 6 literary devices have been used in this sonnet. They are alliteration, metaphor, simile, metonymy, apostrophe, and enjambment. Alliteration. It is a stylistic device in which a number of words having the same first consonant sound occur close together in a series. Look at the first line. The white colored words are the examples of alliteration. Small, slow stream. Here saw sound is repeated. The next line, lives long. The law sound is repeated here. Then strands of silver. Strands and silver. Here also saw sound is repeated. In the next line, stream the suns. Here also the saw sound is repeated. In the next line, fill the hollow full of light. Fill and full. The fa sound is repeated here. And next go to the 8th line. Okay. Pale in his warm green sun-soaked bed. Sun-soaked. The saw sound is repeated here. In the 9th line, his feet among the flowers. Feet and flowers. The fa sound is repeated here. In the 11th line, nature, give him more, he may catch gold. Catch and gold. The caw sound is repeated here. In the 12th line, the humming insects, don't disturb his rest. Don't disturb. The daw sound is repeated. In the 13th line, he sleeps in sunlight. The saw sound is repeated here. And one hand on his breast. The ha sound is repeated here. So there are so many examples of alliterations used in this sonnet. So many alliterations used in this sonnet. Okay. Metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that makes an implicit, implied, or hidden comparison between two things that are unrelated but which share some common characteristics. Look at the first quatrain. A small green valley where a slow stream flows and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. Here, strands of silver refers to the stream. So, this is an example of metaphor. Strands of silver. A strip of silver colored strip is compared to the stream. The silvery water of a stream is compared to the strands, and it is an implicit comparison. So it is an example of metaphor. Next, from the mountaintop stream, the sun's rays. Stream, sun's light or sunlight is lucid, and the water of a stream also is lucid. So here the comparison between the water flow of a stream, the water comes out from a mountain, as if here the sunlight is coming out of the mountain, as if the water of a stream is coming out from the mountain. So a stream has been compared to sun rays, sunlight. So it is an implicit comparison or implied comparison or hidden comparison between a stream and a sunlight. So these are the two cases of metaphors used in this sonnet. Simile. A simile is a figure of speech that makes a comparison, showing similarities between two different things. Unlike a metaphor, a simile draws resemblance with the help of the words like or as. Therefore, it is a direct comparison. Look at the sentence number 9. His feet among the flowers, he sleeps. His smile is like an infant's. His smile is like an infant's smile. The smile of the young soldier is compared to the smile of an infant, and this comparison is done using the word like. So it is a direct comparison between two different things. So it is an example of simile. Metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which an object or idea is referred to by the name of something closely associated with it, as opposed to by its own name. Metonymy involves a word or phrase substituting or standing in for another word or phrase. Look at the first quatrain, the last line of the first quatrain. Hollow. They fill the hollow full of light. Here, hollow is one of the characteristics of a valley, and the valley has been referred to by its attribute hollow. So hollow, by hollow it refers to the valley. So it is an example of metonymy. Likewise, in the last line, red holes. Two red holes, red. Here, red refers to the bullet wounds. The bullet has been referred to by red. So, this is an example of metonymy. Red bullet has been replaced by red, its attributes. Bullet has been replaced by its attribute red. Okay, so it is an example of metonymy. Apostrophe. In literature, apostrophe is a figure of speech, sometimes represented by an exclamation such as "Oh." A writer or speaker using apostrophe speaks directly to someone who is not present or is dead, or speaks to an inanimate object. Here, look at the 11th line. Ah, nature, give him warm, he may catch cold. In this line, the poet speaks to the nature directly. This is an example of apostrophe. It is also is an example of personification. The nature has been personified, and the poet requests him to keep the body of the young soldier warm. So this is an example of personification also. Enjambment. It can be defined as a thought or sense, phrase or clause in a line of poetry that does not come to an end at the line break, but moves over to the next line. Look at the first quatrain. A small green valley where a slow stream flows and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. From the mountain top stream the sun's rays, they fill the hollow full of light. Each sentences, the first line is not a complete sentence. It moves over to the next line. And the next line also is moving over to the third line. And the third line also encodes moving over to the fourth line. So it is an example of enjambment. And in the first tercet, the first line, his feet among the flowers he sleeps, his smile, and then it moves over to the next line, is like an infant's, gentle, without guile. So this is an example of enjambment. Now word nest. Valley, a low area between hills or mountains, typically with a river running through it. Stream, a body of water with surface water flowing within the bed and banks of a channel, and leaves long strands of silver on the bright grass. The sunlight falling on the stream causes it to leave its silver reflections on the green grass. From the mountaintop stream the sun's rays. Here stream is used to describe the similarity between lucidity of the light falling on the valley with lucidity of water. Heavy undergrowth, vegetation. Here it means thick bed of grass growing in the valley. Sun-soaked bed. Again, the water analogy is used here. The light is compared to water that has soaked the bed of grass, that is filled and warmed the grass. This is an instance of alliteration. Guile, deception or trickery. Nature, give him warm, he may catch cold. This is an instance of apostrophe. An apostrophe is a figure of speech in which an inanimate object or abstract quality is addressed to. This is also an act of personification. Nature is personified as a human being who is to assume the role of a caretaker for the sleeping soldier. 2 red holes, 2 bullet holes from which the soldier bled out, leading to his death. This is also an example of metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech. The name or meaning of a thing or concept is substituted by its attributes. Here, bullet is substituted by red. Thank you for watching this presentation. Take care.